The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, Salim Omar here, joining you from beautiful New Jersey on a very cloudy, Thursday morning is what it's like here. Hopefully it's shining and beautiful where you are, sun shining, warm weather, and that. If you are joining in, please let me know that you can hear me and see me while I situate myself here with the screen and that. And how are you? All right, Scholastica is in. Super. Who else is here? Drinking my coffee latte, afternoon coffee run that we just did. Get cold drinks for me and my team. Every so often we do that. All right, Jeff. Super. Good. Looking forward to our time together right now. And the topic is measuring success, key performance indicators. It's a very common question. Practitioners ask me, how do I measure the progress? And so that is what we're going to dive in today. So first, a big welcome. And hope you were all able to download the training guide. If you have, just let me know that you have, and I'll know that you've got it in front of you. The training guide for Module 6, Measuring Your Success. Jeff can hear and see me, so that's good. What about the rest of you? Let me know in terms of your training guide, or I guess no one told me if they've been able to download the training guide printed, because we'll be referring to it as we go. In three areas that we'll be talking about when it comes to, great, Jeff has got it printed. Three areas we'll be talking about, when it comes to measuring success. One is team performance, measuring team performance and optimizing it. Second is your firm performance, the firm KPIs. And then third is time management, optimizing how you spend your time. Cool, Tommy, good. You can hear me. That's great. Let's move on, guys. And so if you remember the Genius model, we've been following all along, the three different areas: client attraction, championship team, streamline operation. And this is along the lines of measurement. So measuring the success, the progress that you're making. So it doesn't really make its way into the Genius model per se, but it's a way to measure how well you're doing and your journey in creating your lifestyle practice. All right, so as I said, three areas we'll talk about. First is team performance, second is firm performance, and third is time management. Optimizing team performance, how to measure performance, and then conducting regular performance reviews. So you may have heard of this saying, what's not measured cannot be managed. And so why measure performance? It brings about accountability. If we don't have performance checks, then people are just doing stuff whenever they want to do. There's no accountability, right? In my year-long coaching program, we have 120-day action plans, and we'll go through that. And the reason we have the 120-day action plans where coaching members set their goals every trimester and then report back on the goals is because of accountability, right? Accountability is what brings success. So that's one of the reasons you measure performance. Second reason, it enables you to control. It enables you to see what's working, what's not, so you can shape it and make the development necessary to get the performance that you want, right? Team performance happens all the time in the basketball court or on the football field or on the soccer field. There is a score, right? So people know how they're doing, how the team is performing. So when it comes to team performance, we can only manage what is measured. So what is our measure? What are we measuring? We're measuring goals, right? We created a 10-year plan, a 10-year goal in a prior training. We became clear about what your 10-year plan is. From that, you reverse engineered and you created your strategic objective, which is your 3-year plan. And from your 3-year plan, you reverse engineered and you created your 1-year plan. So those are your goals, right? 10-year, 3-year, and 1 year. And now you want to measure those, right? So 1-year goal, you've got your company goal, which then translates to your employee goal, right? So yeah, the company won't reach its goals if the employees are not contributing towards the company reaching its goals. So you've got team member goals. And that's what the 120-day plan is, which is right here, right? What are the rocks? What are the big goals for a trimester? And one of the things is who is helping you achieve those rocks. So it's very interesting when I would have a new coaching member in my year-long program, they would have in the who section, most of that would be them. Like client attraction, it's their name. Systems, they've got their name. Team development, they've got their name again there as well. And then when I'm, mentoring them, like, looks like you want to do everything. And, then they get the message that it's got to be, you and the team that's helping the company reach its goals, right? So everybody with me on that you want to get your team involved in helping achieve the goals. Even if you've got one other person besides you, see how they can contribute towards your goals, right? See how they can contribute towards your goals. And the more you do that, the better it is, because that's where you're getting the full participation and the help from your entire team. So what drives your team? I mean, if you can incentivize your team that when they reach a goal, they get an incentive, financial or non-financial. So you can be as creative as you want about, with it. Financial can be money, it can be a gift card. Non-financial can be extra vacation day, it can be a gift, it can be public recognition, it could be lunch, it could be working from home, whatever else you may want. Tickets, you didn't have that here. Tickets to an event, you could have that, right? So the purpose for creating an incentive is you tie the goal, the accomplishment of the goal, to that incentive. Making sense so far? Everyone, kind of give me a little bit of, I want to check in with you. Is this making sense so far? So everything that we have talked about, goals, and even before goals is why measure, what the purpose of measuring is. And what are you going to measure? We created the 10-year, 3-year, 1-year goals. And then the 1-year goals became team member goals. And then you create incentives that are tied to your team member goals. So just checking in with you if this is all making sense. Any questions? Everyone, is this making sense so far? Yes, no, and any questions you have? Tommy says yes. Phil says it makes sense. Measurement is an area I'm sorely lacking in. Brooke is saying yes. All right, cool. Beautiful. Let's move on then. Conducting regular performance reviews. So now you've got your team member they've set their 4-month team member goals, right? So your team members set their goal. They want to document 5 procedures and whatever else, right? They will participate. They will bring their A game at team meetings, like whatever their goals are for that trimester. Yeah, whatever those goals are for that trimester, you want to check in with them, right? So we want to check in with them at least once a year, right? You're used to the concept of holding a performance review once a year. You definitely want to do the performance review once a year at least, right? At the end of every trimester, you want to have a mini performance review. You're reviewing the goals from the previous trimester, and you're working with your team member and understanding what their goals are for the following trimester, right? So once a year you have a performance review, and then you've got mini performance reviews at the end of every trimester, and then at the end of every month you are checking in with them. Every month you're checking in with them, and you can think of that as a performance review. Hey, how are you doing with your goals? Is there anything I can help you with? I can support you. Yeah, everybody with me on that? So once a year performance review, every trimester performance review, and then monthly you're checking in with them. Now, when you're holding a performance review with a team member, you want to set it up in your calendar, right? The whole thing. The once a year, every trimester, get it in your calendar. Use objective criteria and tools, especially the trimester and then the annual performance reviews, right? And we'll go through that. Lead with vision and positivity. So, can start with negative stuff or how bad things are. Yeah. And when the team member is performing, talk about that and how be as clear about it, be as explicit about giving feedback, good and bad. So one study that I was reading would say that for every negative feedback that you give, you want to give 5 positive feedback, things that are positive about that person. So every 5 to 1. I personally feel that's a lot. 5 to 1. I'm more along the lines of 3 to 1, but it's going to be up to you. So 3 things that you're sharing with the person, what you like, what the good attributes that you're seeing, and then you're sharing the one thing that they can do better and they can improve on, right? And then action steps and follow-up, right? So when you're doing the performance review, you're finishing off with like, all right, what did we get from this meeting? What are the action steps and how are we going to follow up with that? Sample performance review that you can use. I like to give this stuff for the person to complete it and submit it to me 24 hours before the performance review, so I had time to look at it, to review it before I'm meeting with that person. And then, as we said about having an objective criteria, couple of examples of what you can use for objectivity. Yeah, and this is just to make sure that you're giving a performance review that's holistic, that's not swayed in one direction or another. So it covers kind of all the areas that are probably what you value. So that's this page here, this slide here. Let me see on the training guide. In the training guide, page 9. On page 9, we've got this thing here. That's on page 9. And then on page 10 and 11, we've got this stuff here. So you can make photocopies and use them as you wish. So that's page 10, what you're seeing here on the screen. And then next one, page 11 in the training guide is the, actually page that continues, page 10 and half of page 11 is the performance review, the criteria that you can use, yeah, to do the evaluation. So both very useful. Page 10 and the top half of page 11 is doing that. And page 12 is tracking incentives. So this is going to vary person to person. So productivity, if somebody was, more in the production side, would have you would measure productivity and what the bonus is on this slide here, using something like this, and that's on page 11. Productivity, business development, professional development, right? If it's somebody that's more on the admin side, then your criteria for productivity may not be on the billing side. It could be something else. It could be, something that's going to be relevant for that position. And every position has, you can identify the 3 most important things that need to happen in that position. And, get it down to those. What are the 3 most important things that you do in this position? And as best as you can, align your incentives to performance related to those three things, or maybe it's 5 things, right? The 5 most important things. So this was part 1, where we talk about employee performance, team performance, right? And I want to bring this back to you with questions that you have. And a question that I have for you is, are you currently holding an annual performance review? Yeah, so if you can let me know by typing in, do you hold an annual performance review with all your team members? Just saying, have no team members that will change this coming year. Cool. Philip saying, currently I'm not performing annual reviews. Philip, how often do you have your performance reviews? How does that come about? Salary raises and so forth. Tommy saying, not yet, looking at doing this before end of the year. Cool. So when to have a performance review is a question that's come up before. You can do it, 2 schools of thought on it. You can do the same period of time for everyone, regardless, or say November is the time when you do performance reviews for everyone, regardless of when they started. So if somebody started say June of 2017, they won't get a performance review. June of 2018, they'll get a performance review at the same time, which is November, right? So that's one school of thought, is to do that. Second school of thought is to do a performance review at their anniversary date, at their 1-year anniversary date. Now, this is what I do. Yeah. Now, the good thing about that is they're staggered, and that can be good. So if you do a performance review and if those performance reviews are not good, and you do them all in November, you got the whole team leaving. I don't think that'll happen, but that's kind of the negative of doing it in one shot and not staggering it. I like it staggered. It's not like I'm spending a whole week on doing performance reviews for everyone. So there's pros and cons, right, of doing either way. Let's see, I'm just kind of reading some comments. Apologies for being distracted with that, but I wanted to see the feedback from you guys. Brooke saying, so far they haven't been with us a year yet, so you haven't done a performance review. Cool. So Brooke, consider doing one at the end of a trimester, or doing one now, say before this third trimester, which is September 1st, but we are close to it, right? So if you haven't done a performance review and you've got your company goals for the trimester, you want to bring them to the team member, and you want them to, you want to help them to help you reach, contribute towards the company goals, then have that meeting and say, oh, these are the company goals for this trimester. I would open it up and get their feedback. What do they think about these goals? You sharing, why did you choose these goals? Because they don't know, right? You got to share with them, like, what are the goals? Why are you creating goals? What's the purpose of goals? You really have to take it like to square one, right? Explaining what is the reason to have goals, why have goals, why did you choose the goals for this trimester, the ones you did, and then bring it to them from a standpoint of, hey, what do you think our goals should be? Are these the right ones? That's a great meeting to have with your team. And if once you agree what the goals for the company are, then you have each team member say, hey, I want you to work on your team member goals. How would you like to contribute to these company goals? Because these company goals won't come to fruition just by themselves. We all have to help. And they work on their goals, and you get together with them. And say, all right, let's review your goals and talk about them with their goals. Make sure they're SMART. The goals are SMART, meaning the acronym: specific, measurable, attainable, time with a timeline, and that, right? So make sure they're SMART, and they go and work on their goals every day, every week, and you meet with them on a monthly basis. And then at the end of the trimester, you meet with them and say, hey, how did you do? How did you do with your goals, right? So that's kind of how that all rolls out. The goal thing rolls out when it comes to your team members. Any questions on that? Anything we've covered so far? Kathy is saying, no, I did not. And as we identified, this is probably why I was such a surprise that my right-hand person left me with no warning. I didn't give her feedback, and I didn't give her the opportunity to tell me about her changed goals. Thanks, Kathy, for being candid there. Phil saying, if you let the employees set the goals, won't they give themselves leeway and not set the goals as high as they should be? Yeah, great point, Phil. And I think it's where you come in as their coach and say, all right, and this is what I've done. I've told people, hey, look, we can set goals that are really low. We'll all feel good about it, but the company won't get anywhere. So please, let's all stretch ourselves. Yeah, when it comes to goals, we don't want to be in the comfort zone. We want to create goals that are going to take us a little out of our comfort zone, right? Are we all in agreement with that? And I'm here to support you. Yeah, that's the role that you're playing with them, and come to them with that. And here's something that I'll tell you that will be really useful to you all. It's work in progress. So the first time you do this, don't expect your team members to all get it and to all start creating these amazing goals and to start reaching them and so forth, right? Come from a mindset of you haven't done them in your practice, and you've been in practice for so long. So now we are bringing in a new idea, a new concept, and let's just be mindful of that, right? Work with them. People, surprisingly, they're not aware of goal setting, and they don't know the SMART acronym, and they're not using that, never used it. They'll set a goal. I want to I'll create procedures, and it's like, all right, how many? Like, let's be specific, and how will we measure it? And is 50 procedures in 1 week realistic? And you kind of go through that process with them. And then the more you do it, the more people will get on it, right? So you got to do this consistently as part of what you do with time management. We'll talk about 30, 60, 10. 10% of your time is spent with team development, right? And these are the kind of things that you want to schedule. Put them in your calendar, schedule them. Kathy is asking, do you have any hints on how to coach and set goals for staff at the lowest level? My best advice, Kathy, for that is listen to them, give them the space to create their goals, let them create their goals, and work with them, collaborate with them, be their sounding board, and work as a team on their goals. You know, one of the things, Kathy, you were in Atlanta, the Super Conference. You know, Sam Silverstein, he did a really good job with accountability. You know, creating accountability with the team members, and you create accountability. You don't make the team member accountable for you. You know, you support them with the goals. Yeah, that's the role that you play, and you make that very clear to them that you want them to achieve their goals. Whatever goals they set, your job is to help them achieve it, to support them, to help them, to mentor them. So they have an open door policy of coming in with questions, and you encourage them to strive for more. I don't know if that's the question you had, but hopefully that helps. Kathy's also saying, I'm remembering a former job I had where I had to do annual reviews with an admin person, and it was really hard to come up with anything to say. Her job was very repetitive and basic clerical. She was competent, but there wasn't any room for improvement. What I've learned is that every position has something that they can strive to do more. Answering the phone, you can strive to do something more. Have a goal of asking something personal. Have a goal of writing down. So, writing down something that is personal in nature, right? Something that's personal in nature. Yeah. So the goal for a week could be identify one person, something personal, a personal event happening in one of the clients' life, right? From all the phone calls coming in, the goal for the receptionist is to identify at least one personal event that's taking place in the life of a client. So bring that up in conversation and ask, hey, what's going on? Anything personally, any events happening for you? However that question is phrased, the receptionist can bring her own creativity in designing that question. So that could be a goal, is identify at least one personal event taking place in a client's life. And follow it up with an email, a phone call, some form of communication after a few days. That can be a goal for the receptionist, right? Simple as that. It's answering the phone, basic, clerical. But now we've added a personal touch to it that can benefit the company in many ways. It helps with client retention. It helps with referrals. So each and every position in an organization can be connected with money, with finances, with profits, with revenues. And that's what you're doing, is connecting each and every position with from a financial standpoint. Either something that's going to help the company make more money, or it's going to help the company reduce expenses. Everyone can play some part and role in doing that. All right, cool. Great questions, guys. Part 2 is KPIs, key performance indicators. So we talked about employee team measurement, right? How do you measure team performance? Now let's talk about how to measure the firm performance, the performance of the firm. So now you're going to see some KPIs that you're familiar with. For example, and these are, in the 120-day action plan, and I think the 120-day action plan is on page 7. It's on page 7 in your training guide. That's what it is. And then at the bottom of this 120-day action plan here are the KPIs. And these are the KPIs, the explanation of these KPIs that you see on the screen. That's for these numbers here. So you're tracking the key performance indicators for the firm. So here they are. Revenues for that trimester. Labor cost. Again, for the trimester, what was your labor cost? Team member salaries plus fringe benefits. Number 3, gross profit. Here, revenue minus labor is your gross profit. Overhead, so these are all your fixed expenses. That's what that is. Net profit, you guys are accountants, you know what I mean. Owner salary is your compensation. And then firm net profit after owner salary. So what's the profit of the firm after you getting paid, what you get paid? So even if you're a sole proprietor or a single member LLC, I don't know what it is in Canada, but here in the States, it's, we take a draw essentially, right? Get your draw into the P&L. So you come up with a net profit, which is that line there. And then additional KPIs, production fee earners, the amount of time producers spend on billable work. Yeah. How much of the time in a week are your producers spending on billable work? So that you want that percent to be high. So they're not doing wasteful stuff. Yeah, you want the producers to produce. You want them to work on billable work. So that production fee, the target is 90%. Yeah, that's great. 80% is average, 70% and lower is poor. So that's the first one, production fee earners. And then it's productivity owner percentage, the amount of time the owner spends on billable work. That's how much time you spend on billable work. What is the goal there? The goal is for you to spend less time on production work, so that you can spend time on the other things like client nurturing and sales and marketing and team development. AHR is average hourly rate. So this is firm revenues divided by the amount of time worked by the producers. So the firm revenues are $500,000 divided by the time worked by the producers is 7,000 hours. So we've got 500,000 divided by 7,000 hours. That's 71, right? That's way too low. So 500,000, let's do 4,000 hours. That's $125 an hour. Yeah, that's your average hourly rate client hours. And you want that number to be $150 and more. And then you've got average hourly rate. It's the revenues for the firm, $500,000 divided by all the hours, admin hours and the producer's hours. And let's say that number is 7,000. Now you've got 500,000 divided by 7,000. There was like $71. So that's on the low side. You want that number, you want that number to be about $100. Yeah, you want that number to be about $100. That's average hourly rate. And then number of leads, number of sales meetings, conversion rate, and then the value of new projects won. Yeah, that's what all these indicators, the KPIs at the bottom of this 120-day plan are. And so this is what I have, my coaching members fill out every trimester when I meet with them for coaching day, have them create the 3 big rocks, and then have them create their key performance indicator for that trimester. So then you've got key performance indicators that are not traditional in nature, stuff that we don't necessarily see on this here or even think about it as CPAs, right? You've got definitely the key performance indicators relating to the finances, revenues and gross profit and fixed expenses and net profit, and we got all that, right? And then I introduce you, going back to the previous slide, to some of the stuff that most accountants don't typically calculate, which is the stuff, the additional KPIs, the productivity, relating to production and hourly rate. And then, in addition to that, you've got non-traditional KPIs that are relating to, say, internal quality, error rate, delivery times, stuff we talked about in a previous module when we talked about performance standards, if you remember, right? The one-page performance standard where you say, you decided on what do you want your delivery times to be when it comes to tax returns and that. So that's so that's the delivery time, which is where internal quality delivery times, right? So you can have error rates. So we're going to minimize errors or tax notices. During tax season, you can say, or first half of the year, you can say we want to keep our tax notices that are received at less than this, or each month you can create a number of tax notices that you want to keep it less than certain amount. That's kind of related to errors and quality. What about employee happiness? You could have a key performance indicator on employee happiness, and it's more of a survey, right? Or client happiness, client delight. That's surveying them and finding out what did they give you 1 to 10, and that. What about systems and workflow? Number of projects completed within budget, number of procedures created in a trimester, and so forth. So you get an understanding of the different types of key performance indicators that you can have in your firm. And I want you to think of the most important ones. Which are the most important ones when it comes to key performance indicators? Decide on 3 to 5. 3 to 5 key performance indicators that you're going to track this trimester, the trimester we're in. Yeah, I want you to do that. Yeah, decide on 3 to 5. That's your homework before our next group call. Is decide on 3 to 5 key performance indicators that you want to measure, and pick the ones that you're going to be able to share with your team, and pick the ones that are tied to your 3 rocks for this trimester, the 3 things that you want to accomplish in this trimester. Yeah. And what are the things that you want to come? You're going through this 12-week program, and you've done some wonderful stuff. I mean, last week we talked about, we saw the core values that you've created, and different things that you've done. The most important stuff that you've created through this process, and what do you want to accomplish from it? What are you looking to get from it? So if you created core values, how do you measure that? Think from a measurement standpoint is, what's the benefit of this? How are we going to live this, and how are we going to know if this core, we're on the right track with the core values? So bring it down to that, yeah, for you to actually see the benefit, the results of the work you're doing. And this is where it's all, right now we're talking about like measuring, right? And implementing it from a standpoint of measurement, and seeing, you want to see that those results tied to revenues, to finances, and even tied to the strength of the company. Even if you're writing, if you have a goal of having procedures, right? There is like, what are the benefits of having procedures in place? What are you seeing? How is that going to help the company, the firm, do that? And how are you then going to measure it, right? So bring it down to that level of clarity for yourself and for your team. All right, cool. Questions? On part 2, which is measuring firm performance. Is this making sense, folks? Do you think you'll be able to come up with 3 to 5 key performance indicators for you to track? Maybe it's projects won, the number of projects won. Maybe it's the number of clients you converted from annual clients to monthly clients. Maybe it's the number of procedures that you've created. Maybe it's the team meetings, consistently holding team meetings. Maybe it's having a performance review, right? Different things that you can, measure based on your goals for the trimester. So when you create a measurement, a benchmark, you know whether you accomplished it or not. Otherwise, you have goals, but there's no way to measure the success of the goals. And many times, that's why people get off the bandwagon and they'll create goals, but then they don't know if they reached the goal or not. And the team doesn't know. But when you know you reached a goal, you've created the KPI relating to that goal, you know whether you got it, you didn't get it. And if you didn't get it, you can make the necessary changes. If you got it, you can celebrate it, and so forth. So kind of give me some feedback. Is this all making sense? Any questions before we go to optimizing time in the last 15 minutes of this webinar, the last part? Phil, I see your question here. Should KPIs be very specific or should they be more general? Can you kind of elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by that? Any other questions, folks? This is your time. And it's an important area in your practice. So Phil's question is, number of review notes received in preparation of specific reports or about general performance. Number of review notes received in preparation. Review notes meaning from you as the reviewer, I guess? Number of review notes received in preparation of specific reports or about general performance. I guess this is when it comes to employee performance is where you're asking the question. Phil saying, I'm having problems with payroll reports rather than tax returns. So what type of problems are you seeing with payroll reports, Phil? While you answer that, Brooke saying, I'm happy that we're covering this topic. I went to an Asana project management business owners meeting last night, and there was a lot of talk about KPIs, so I knew it's important. Yeah, good. Thanks for sharing that, and good job in getting out there. And probably, there were business owners there. I'm wondering, yeah, it's a great networking opportunity, wasn't it? Scholastic, I think, since it is revolving between the two of us, you've got you and your team member, yeah. So set goals for the two of you, and then the KPIs, Scholastica, relating to those. So Phil saying someone gets in a hurry and makes clerical errors that should not have been made, but her tax returns don't have these types of errors. So yeah, I would get very specific then. I see what you're saying, Phil. You've got a team member that's making errors on payroll reports, but not on tax returns. So I'd get very specific in terms of feedback and saying, I see errors. Please let me, I want to understand what's going on, right? And see what they have, what would they say? What's going on? Why are they making the errors? And what can they do to alleviate that? All right, part 3, time optimization. So here, when we're talking about performance, we want to optimize the time spent, or just overall time, right? Overall time management and performing time. So Jay Abraham, you may have seen this slide because I've used it before. Very smart man. Says entrepreneurs fail not because they are not working hard, it's because they're doing the wrong work. So part of optimizing time is focusing on the wildly important. So 30-60-10 rule, you guys were in Atlanta. I shared this there. 30% of your time spent on high-end technical work, 60% of your time spent on sales and marketing, client nurturing, and 10% of your time spent on team development. So it's a general rule of thumb that you want to work towards, right? It won't happen now, today, tomorrow, that you'll say, you know what, I'm going to get to 30-60-10. If you're doing 90% technical or 95% technical, work your way towards it in steps. Yeah, and the way to get to 30-60-10 is through delegating. Bringing in someone, delegating it to someone on your team, outsourcing it, and be creative and explore your options. And make time for what matters. I mean, the 80-20 principle is amazingly correct, true, how it happens in life. The 80-20 principle is, 80% of the 20% of the time is, my goodness, how do I explain it? 20% of the clients leads to 80% of your profits. 20% of the time that you spend leads to 80% of the results. If you look at your wardrobe, you wear 20% of your clients get 80% of the wear. If you look at your hardwood floors and your carpets at home or in the office, same thing, 20% of the area gets 80% of the wear and tear. And it applies to all areas of our life, including our friends. We like 20% of our friends. We spend most of our time, the 80% of the time is spent with 20% of our friends, and so forth. So same applies when it comes to your work, right? Exactly. It could be 80-20, it could be 70-30, it could be 60-40, but it's somewhere around that. And when we apply it to our work, what it means is that small number of things are really important. There's a large number of things that we do that are not giving us the results. Become aware of that. What are those small number of things that are giving you the best results? And what are the large number of things that you're doing that are not giving you the results? Which clients are most profitable? What marketing gives you the best results? What processes makes the biggest difference when it comes to systematizing your practice? What tasks are most effective? So look at everything from that standpoint of what is most important. Don't treat everything as the same, including clients. Not all clients are the same. There's some clients, your A clients. Give them the attention more than any other clients. Treat them like gold, and everything else that you do. So when it comes to productivity, first is the 30-60-10 rule. Spend the general rule of thumb, talked about delegation, and we talked about the 80-20, right? Become aware, be very mindful, conscious of where are you spending your time. Number 2, to-do list with start and end times. Comes to productivity. Schedule out your calendar. Time for client meetings, time for client phone calls. Every day, have a block of time, morning, afternoon, twice a day, where you're returning phone calls, you're returning emails. If it's 3 times a day, whatever it may work, whatever works for you, right? Have that set amount of time where everything is compressed during that time, when you're doing that stuff during that time. So that's the to-do list with start and end times. You met Rebecca. She works 20 hours a week. Her practice has grown amazingly well. She was in Atlanta. Amazing person, and loves her, the balance, the work-life balance. Very mindful of that. Very mindful of 80-20, how she spends her time doing the stuff that's most important. And so you want to be looking at that from optimizing your time. And then third productivity tip that I want to share with you is creating your success zone, right? Your office, your workspace, make it exciting, make it inspirational. It's your workspace. You spend time there. Make it. This is, by the way, a picture from my reception area and then my conference room. And I have that picture, but I never tell people what it is. So I'm glad I'm letting you know. I've got a cafe there, a nice picture, beautiful conference room, sitting area. The whole office is very nice, and we get really good comments from everyone all the time about how nice it is. So create your success zone, associate with positive, successful people. Attend events, connect with people that inspire you, that are like-minded, that support you. In next month, I'm going to be in October. October, I'm going to be attending an event in Connecticut. I want to be amongst successful entrepreneurs. This is one that I'm attending. The one I'm hosting is separate. And we're going to be doing one in Dallas. It's flying on Sunday. So that's on Monday, Tuesday, the intensive in Dallas. So those are separate, but the ones that I attend, one in October. November, I'm in Los Angeles I'm attending an event. December, I'm in San Diego attending an event. So again, for looking for inspiration and folks that are like-minded. What about you? Create your success zone that pushes you to grow and to rise. Yeah, create your success zone. All right, so here's what we've covered. Optimizing team performance, optimizing firm performance and using KPIs all along, and then optimizing your time, how you spend your time. Questions, things that we've covered that you resonated, which is the area that you feel you need the most right now in your practice. Jeff is asking the question, what was the 30 and what was the 60 in the 30, 60, 10 rule? So 30 is doing high-end technical work. That's the 30% high-end technical work. Can someone give me an example of what is a high-end technical work? And Jeff, to your question, 60% is sales and marketing. 10% is team development. So what is high-end technical work? What do you think is high-end technical work? What would high-end technical work look like for you? What kind of work does that mean for you? What would you do for high-end technical work? Kathy, do you have a CPA in your firm currently? I think you said you did. Yep, I recall. Cool. What's high-end technical work for you folks in your firm currently? What would you do for high-end technical work? Let me know. I want to know what is high-end technical work. All right. Kathy's saying, reviewing work done by CPA in my firm. So Brooke saying, preparing the complex tax returns, tax projections for large clients, designing audit projects to handle to team members. Awesome. I love both your answers, Brooke and Kathy. That's what high-end technical work is, right? How much do you think it pays? How much would what's the billable for that? At what level is that work? Is that like $100 work, or is that $250 type work, or $500 type work, or is that $1,000 per hour type work? What you just mentioned. Kathy saying $150 an hour. Brooke saying $185 an hour. Good. Yeah. I feel many years back, my minimum, and this is like 10 to 12 years back, my minimum was $250 an hour. That was my minimum. I didn't want to do any work myself. It was less than $250 an hour. And then it jumped to $500 an hour. So I didn't want to do any work that was less than $500 an hour. So here's how it translates to us. Right? You have a tax, you only pick and choose work that's paying well, that's not going to take a lot of time. So you pick work that's profitable rather than the other way around, where most practitioners pick work that's the toughest. Right? So you pick up a tax return to do that's paying that's paying $1,250, and it's going to take you an hour or an hour and a half. That's your $500 an hour right there, right? So you only pick and choose things that are lucrative. You, as the owner, get to pick the best stuff first, and that fills up your 30% of your time. Everyone with me on that? Super important, right? You pick and choose the easy stuff. You pick and choose the easy stuff that's going to pay you the $250 minimum, whatever. I want you guys to all increase your threshold, get your threshold higher, and always be working on making it higher and higher and higher. So do that, right? So you pick the stuff that's going to pay you the best rates. All right. Phil's asking, should I encourage my staff to develop their own KPIs, such as the one who makes payroll tax reports, to set a goal to make less errors and other personal KPIs? Yeah, that's a great conversation, Phil, to have with them, and don't have the conversation with them, saying, hey, how many errors would you like? Less errors. Let's have a cap on the errors you make. Wouldn't that be nice, employee? How many errors do you think you want to get less than? And let's create a goal for you. What do you think that is? And I would just kind of have that dialogue with them. Tom is saying, as far as high-end technical work, more complicated tax planning and financials, especially buy-sell work. Yeah, that pays well, doesn't it? Scholastica saying, working on consulting work. Nice. Good. Awesome. Cool. That's high-end technical work. So that's the type of stuff that you want to work on. And then 60% of the time is the sales and marketing, client nurturing type of work. So with that said, folks, let's finish off here. I am really looking forward to our group Q&A call next week, because this is like, I really see that what we talked about has hit a chord for many of you, if not all of you. And it's something that you guys have been wanting to do and get better at. So we're on the track to do that. So let's finish off here. It's 3 p.m. East Coast time. And let's resume next week. Hope you guys have an awesome week and an awesome weekend. And I really appreciate all the interaction that came from today's training. Yes, it's asked some awesome questions and feedback. So thank you. Cool. Let's wrap up here. Adios.